Hi Riley, I've looked over your lesson plan and here's my feedback. This is a really cool idea. I like what you're doing here. I think it's a cool idea, and I think that not only is it a good idea, but it's a really wonderful way to work on these kinds of standards, like effective speaking, and effective collaboration in groups. So often, I think teachers just like throw in a little bit of small group work and throw this standard at the top and call it good. But I think that the way you're going about this, with really kind of like a cool a cool lesson plan, a cool formative assessment, really like kind of high risk thing, right? Like you have to defend him in court, that kind of a thing. I think that would really help, students to be able to work on these more effectively. So in your students will be able to, don't forget to put a by clause right here, okay? So students will be able to debate the various actions of a character based on their reading of Catcher in the Rye by, creating their persuasive essay, in defense of or in prosecution of Holden Caulfield, So just don't forget that by clause in there because we want this to be, to move into that measurable field. So I know that if they've completed this, that they're at least starting on or have mastered the skill, okay? So like I said, I think assessment, very well done, super cool idea. The thing I'm gonna bug you about here in your learning plan, you have almost all the components you need in here. I'm going to ask you to add one component. I'm going to ask you to rearrange a few things, and let me see if I can explain my reasoning, okay? Bell rings, students sit down, you open up. So far we've talked about components of a novel. Now I want us to focus on character. Jot down a thing or two about how you can relate to our main character, okay? That, whoops, sorry about that. Just have a look at my email there and then have a look at Josh's lesson plan. Holy cow. Sorry about that. Here we go. I'm back. Okay. Right. You got to remember that the kids have just come from their real world, from their passing period, talking with their friends and fixing their makeup and fluffing their hair and all that kind of stuff, all right? And they're not ready to think about their relationship to Holden yet. They will be, and I think that you need this component. I think it's good. I think I just want to scooch it down a little bit. Now, you have this question in here, which cracked me up a little bit, right? Has anyone ever been charged with a crime that was prosecuted in court? Hopefully shocked and quiet. That cracked me up. Let's think about retooling this into a common human experience, especially from the adolescent level, and putting it up top. Let me tell you what I'm thinking, all right? If bell rings, students sit down, and you say, guys, have you ever been accused of something that you didn't do? Like someone, like your sister said you hit her when you didn't, or your friend said you took something and you didn't, or your parents were like, you got home late, and you're like, no, I didn't. And it was because your watch was 2 minutes slower than their clock, right? And you thought you walked in just on time. Think about that, okay? That's a pretty common thing for adolescents to have experienced, even if not 100% of kids in the room. Well, let's just be honest. Everyone's been, even if it's the rumor mill thing, I totally heard you said blah, blah, blah. And you're like, no, I didn't. Start them there, okay? So you've been accused of something. Maybe you didn't do it, maybe you did it and you're embarrassed of it, or maybe you did it and like you had a really good reason for it and no one's listening to you, okay? Jot down that situation just a little bit, okay? Now, I want you to think about another person that we've been dealing a lot with who's like getting accused of doing a lot of things, of like being a total jerk, when maybe he's a jerk, maybe there's a good reason, I don't know, maybe not, right? It's the character in our book, right? Holden. Do any of you guys have, can you relate to some of the things that Holden is doing? Like everyone says he's a total jerk, but have you ever felt like, yeah, maybe I was a jerk, but maybe I had a good reason for it? Or have you ever felt like, oh my God, I know this other person who's a total jerk and whatever, like he's a total jerk, but I guess I didn't think about it like from Holden's point of view. I mean, everyone calls him calls him out on this stuff. Okay, however that sounds in your words, those are my words, but however it sounds in your words, right? So we set them into this memory loop right here, then we have them connect that memory loop to Holden, and then And then you kick it up a notch and you say, okay, now we've been talking about things like, okay, maybe rumors, like maybe, your parents accused you of something, or your sister accused you of something, or something like that. But you guys know, like, there's kind of like a bigger deal. Like, sometimes you can get accused of something that's really illegal, and what ends up happening then? Where do you go? Oh, you end up in court. Right. So I'm going to hope no one in here has ever never been charged with a serious crime, but you've probably all watched enough crime shows to know that there's a jury in the room, and then there's two different sides in the room, right? There's the defense side and the prosecution side, right? Oh, like the good and the bad. What does defense mean? What does it not? And then look at this, and then you're good to go on the rest of this. You leave it alone, right? Charging Holden Caulfield with salacious and harmful comments, and define salacious, and well, that's not fair. He's totally just growing up. It's hard in general, right? Good. But look at this, look at that. Now look, here's another case that really kind of relates to what Holden Caulfield went through. Let's look at this case, and then what we're going to be doing is putting Holden on trial, kind of just like the Zenger case in 1733, okay? Now, I'm going to bug you a little bit about your model, okay? And you may have planned on doing this anyways, it just wasn't in the lesson plan, like in what you wrote down, and that just happens. That's totally fine, okay? I want you to write this out, okay? So like, you're on the document camera on a piece of paper and you're writing, or you're on the computer or something like that. And use the words data claim, okay? So if I was going to be on the prosecution side, right? So, and remember what, guys, what's the prosecution side? Okay, you're the one saying that he did something wrong, right? I'm going to go find a piece of evidence in the text that I think helps me, right? And so I'm going to choose this quote on page 16. I'm the most terrific liar you ever saw in your life, period, it's awful, period, end quote. Now, what would I do? Okay, so you're going to crack your head open, and you're going to not just give them the conclusion of your thoughts, you're going to give them the process from data to claim. Okay, so I've chosen this quote, right? Holden straight up said it. Let's pretend like we had a witness, like I can call that witness, like I heard him say this, he said this, or maybe he wrote it down, okay? Now, how would I use this quote to prove that Holden is like guilty, right? Well, because it talks about how he admits that he's a liar, and not just a liar, like a terrific liar. How would I do that, guys? Let me share the thoughts in my head with you, because I'm going to think that lying is kind of bad. And then, like, if you I know we all tell white lies sometimes, like, oh my God, no, that new top looks really cute, but like, this guy straight up lies, like, all the time, and he's really good at it, and he knows it, and he uses it. So I think I'm going to draw from this piece of data, and I'm even, Riley, I'm even, like, using, some graphics on here, right? I circle my quote, I draw an arrow across, right? I think I would argue that lying is never a good thing, and the fact that he admits that lying is terrible makes it even worse. Right? And so then if I was the prosecution, that's what I would do. Now, let's take this same quote. If I was the defense side, what does the defense do? Okay, they like say that he's wrong, right? How would I say, no, you're interpreting it wrong. It's not really like that. Okay, so look at how, Riley, you have what you need in here. You have the model, you have the quote, you have the conclusion. All I'm asking you is right there, okay? Crack your head open and share the thought process that got you from one to the other. All right. So that way you are modeling not just what students need to do, but how students need to think. And then as you're walking around answering questions and splitting the class up and walking around to talk to everyone, students are sitting there staring at the book. This is the beauty of it. You can say, how you guys doing? I don't know what to do. Okay, let's look at my example. What's the first thing I did? You found a quote from the book. Okay, crack open a page, cruise through it, skim it, and see if you find a quote. Oh, okay, well, here's one here. Okay, good. Write that down. What's the second thing I did? Well, you circled it and you drew an arrow where you decided, like, if you were the defense, you'd say this, if the prosecution, this. Good. Which side are you? We're defense. Okay. How can you say that, come on, like, that's not really as bad as it sounds? Oh, okay. So do you see the beauty of walking through and graphically drawing out that thought process, and then you can use it to bug the students, right? Where are you stuck? Step 1, 2, or 3. Oh, I got step 1. Okay, where's step 2? Right? So, Riley, you are super close. You're very close. You have all the stuff you need. We're just going to deepen it a little bit so that when you get to the small group stuff, you can talk to them and walk them through their actions and hold them accountable. Okay, but all to say, like, Riley, you're doing really good. This is like awesome progress, and I really like this lesson plan.